We're going to take a little trip down memory lane, guys, back to a franchise in the gaming space that released in 1999 and had a few releases between 1999 all the way up to 2003. And since then, we haven't seen a continuation of this franchise, and I'm talking about Dino Crisis. This was a franchise, guys, that over the span of 3 games was really popular. It was a very exciting horror action game that came out, and I want to talk about what happened to this franchise and could we see a reboot at some point or another in the foreseeable future. So let's talk about it. So according to Wikipedia, guys, of course, there were 3 Dino Crisis games, as I said. The first one coming out in 1999, and then the second one coming out a year later. And then 2 years later, you had Dino Stalker that came out in 2002. And this was more so kind of a spin-off that had ties, of course, as it says, to Dino Crisis. And this is, of course, followed by Dungeon in Chaos in 2003, which was a mobile game that came out. And then the official last game in this franchise was Dino Crisis 3 in 2003 is when this one was released. And ever since then, guys, we have not seen a continuation of this franchise that's owned by none other than Capcom. We haven't seen a continuation of it for, a number of years now. Now, there could be a number of reasons why. Number one could be, guys, the aggregate review scores for, I would really say, the last game in particular, but you could even put in Dino Stalker in there. Those two both averaged, high 50s as far as a percentage is concerned out of 100. And that's not very good when you go back to Dino Crisis, the original, going anywhere between 60 to 80%, and that's pretty good. Now, Dino Crisis 2, of course, was kind of, mediocre to generally favorable reviews as well. So overall, the review scores, kind of got worse over time. So that could be one thing. Number two could be that, a lot of times what follows bad reviews are bad, sales. And that's really, at the end of the day, what it all comes down to. Now, as far as the future of this franchise is concerned, guys, for several years, fans have been asking for a new installment in the Dino Crisis series. In 2014, rumors began circulating that Capcom had begun development on Dino Crisis 4. On March 30th, 2014, Phil Spencer, the new head of Xbox, was questioned about whether or not rumors that Dino Crisis 4 would be released on Xbox One were true, to which he responded, "We aren't working on DC. It would have to be another publisher if it were true." On January 11th, 2016, Rely on Horror reported that Teo Weishi, the producer of Monster Hunter Online, was interested in working with Capcom on a revival of the Dino Crisis series. Bocanegra stated it would certainly be nice to get a Dino Crisis revival, and Capcom could potentially start by remastering the original game, which would fall in line nicely with their current strategy when it comes to remasters. Shinji Mikami has also stated that he has long held ideas for a new game in the series. And then in March of 2017, Capcom's Masahika Kawata said he was not aware of any internal plans to revive the series despite it being a good prospect for remasters or remakes. In December, the official Twitter account for Capcom's lead development team responded to a fan asking if a new Dino Crisis title would release soon, to which they replied, "If a lot of people wish." So at the end of the day, guys, what I think it really comes down to is the fan base. If there's enough people that want this game made, Capcom will see to it that it's done. And I think really when we say that they would make another Dino Crisis, I don't think that they would start with Dino Crisis 4. I actually think that they would start with a remaster, similar to like what they're doing with the Resident Evil games. And what they would do is kind of get everyone in tuned and up to speed on what's going on with Dino Crisis, at least with those first 3 games, so that people who have never played the game, which a lot of you probably haven't even played one of these games on the original Xbox or on the, on the PlayStation, certainly would give you an idea of what this is all about. A very interesting and exciting game, to say the least, that I think definitely deserves to be a part of the rest of gaming as a whole as of right now, and could really do well graphically on the next generation of consoles with a remaster. And then probably shortly after the remaster would come out, then we would maybe get an announcement of Dino Crisis 4. And an article, guys, that was written by Aaron Mamet of Digital Trends, Capcom reportedly canceled a new Dino Crisis game with no plans to revive the series. Capcom was reportedly working on a new Dino Crisis game, but the project was canceled and the series is currently extinct, according to a reliable leaker. Dino Crisis, released in 1999 for the original PlayStation, then a year later on Sega Dreamcast and Windows PC, takes the survival horror formula of the Resident Evil franchise but replaces slow and lumbering zombies with agile and vicious dinosaurs. Fans of Dino Crisis have clamored for the game to revive the same remake treatment as the widely successful Resident Evil 2 and of course the widely successful Resident Evil 3 as well. Capcom is said to have started the project, but unfortunately is no longer in developers' plans, according to Aesthetic Gamer. Aesthetic Gamer, an insider known for his scoops on Capcom games, does not divulge further details on the canceled Dino Crisis game, such as whether it was a remake of the 1999 classic or a continuation of the series into the current generation of consoles, or the reason for the cancellation. However, with the declaration that the franchise is extinct, it appears that fans have nothing to look forward to for now if the report is true. So look, this would be really unfortunate, guys, if they were working on something and all of a sudden they decided to change their plans. Maybe the creative vision wasn't there. Maybe they were working on Dino Crisis 4 and just had creative differences, let's put it that way. Or there could be a ton of different reasons why they would have stopped development on a Dino Crisis game. Maybe they just didn't feel that this was something that people really wanted at the end of the day, and that's something that would maybe sell well, and they maybe move those people onto, Resident Evil projects because they know those are going to sell incredibly well. In addition to the Dino Crisis cancellation, Aesthetic Gamer also claimed that a remake of Resident Evil Code Veronica is not currently even in pre-production. The game is the fourth major installment in the franchise, with events that take place after Resident Evil 2 and concurrently with Resident Evil 3. It was expected to be Capcom's next remake project, but the report is true, that is not the case. So Capcom, guys, obviously, I think all their eggs are in the Resident Evil basket at this point. Now, obviously, you could say like Devil May Cry, and there's other games, of course, that Capcom owns, but I think Dino Crisis is a franchise that deserves to continue, at least in a remastered state. I mean, I really hope that they make Dino Crisis as a remaster. Think of like Turok. Think of some of these other games that haven't even got continuations. I mean, we've been waiting for like a true, a dinosaur hunter type of game, guys, which we might, we might be getting at some point or another in the future. But Dino Crisis, I think, deserves to at least have a remaster, and then if it does well enough for Capcom, then they can maybe justify making a Dino Crisis 4. But as of right now, guys, it looks like it is extinct at this very point in time. Hopefully it comes, out of that extinction period and comes back in one way, shape, or form. But let me know, guys, what would you all want to see in a Dino Crisis? In the comment section below, let me know. And for more Dino Crisis content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.